The September 30th episode of Married at First Sight UK delivered one of the most uncomfortable and heartbreaking moments of the entire season, and it had nothing to do with explosive arguments or dramatic walkouts. Instead, it was about something much more cruel: the slow, painful destruction of someone's confidence through mean comments and public humiliation. Sarah and Dean's story took a devastating turn when Sarah's disrespectful behaviour toward her husband was finally called out by the experts, leading to one of the most emotional confrontations we've seen on the show. What happened between them wasn't just about attraction or compatibility. It was about basic human decency and how words can cut deeper than any argument ever could. From the very beginning, Sarah made it clear that Dean wasn't her type. On their wedding day, she admitted he wasn't her dream man, calling him over the top and confessing she didn't fancy him or want to rip his clothes off.
Dean's not my typical type.
While it's fair enough not to be attracted to someone, what happened next crossed every line of respect and basic kindness. Instead of keeping her feelings private or discussing them maturely with Dean, Sarah decided to share her cruel thoughts with anyone who would listen. The real problem started during their honeymoon when Sarah's true feelings about Dean began to show. She told him his constant singing and rapping was beginning to grate on me, and that he needed to learn to communicate more directly. But the most devastating moment came when Dean, trying to be vulnerable with his new wife, asked if she'd ever been with anyone bigger than him. Sarah's response was brutal, a firm no, while shaking her head, leaving Dean feeling empty and completely crushed. This wasn't just rejection. This was public humiliation of someone's deepest insecurity. What made Sarah's behaviour even worse was that Dean has been open about his struggles with weight and self-confidence his entire life. He's talked about being the fat kid at school who didn't get the girls, and how a previous girlfriend told him he was too fat, something that clearly still haunts him today. Dean calls himself the funny fat kid as a way to cope with his insecurities. But instead of being understanding or supportive, Sarah used these vulnerabilities against him. The September 30th dinner party was where Sarah's disrespectful behaviour finally came to light in the most public and painful way possible. While Dean was actually saying nice things about Sarah to the other couples, she was doing the complete opposite behind his back. Sarah was telling anyone who would listen that she wasn't attracted to her husband, making fun of his personality, and even sharing private details about their relationship that should have stayed between them. The most cruel comment came when Sarah told the group that Dean calls himself the funny fat kid, and then added, "He ain't a bad boy, he's like a Care Bear." The comment was meant to be dismissive and emasculating, reducing Dean to nothing more than a soft, cuddly toy that no one could take seriously as a man. The other contestants were visibly uncomfortable hearing Sarah talk about her husband this way, but she didn't seem to care about the impact her words were having. What made the whole situation even more heartbreaking was watching Dean's reaction when he found out what Sarah had been saying about him. "Hearing that Sarah has been disrespecting me has caught me off guard," he told the cameras, his hurt clearly visible. "That is probably my biggest red flag. It does hurt me. For someone who already struggles with confidence and has been rejected because of his weight before, having his own wife publicly mock him was like his worst nightmare coming true." The experts were absolutely furious when they learned about Sarah's behaviour. Paul C. Brunson, in particular, was ready to tear into Sarah for her disrespectful comments about Dean. The experts had watched Sarah continuously tell her co-stars that she wasn't attracted to her partner, while Dean was being nothing but complimentary about her to everyone else. The contrast couldn't have been more stark. Here was a man trying his best to make his marriage work, while his wife was actively undermining him behind his back. When the experts finally confronted Sarah about her behaviour, the confrontation was explosive. Paul C. Brunson didn't hold back, calling out her red flag behaviour and telling her she was being rude and disrespectful to her husband. The other experts, Mel Schilling and Charlene Douglas, were equally disappointed with Sarah's conduct during the dinner party. They made it clear that talking badly about your spouse to other people was completely unacceptable and showed a fundamental lack of respect for the marriage experiment. Sarah's reaction to being called out was telling. Instead of apologising or showing any remorse for her hurtful comments, she broke down in tears. But they seemed to be tears of self-pity rather than genuine regret. She appeared more upset about being confronted than about the pain she had caused Dean. This reaction only made viewers more angry, as it showed she still didn't understand how cruel her behaviour had been. The whole situation has sparked massive backlash from viewers, with many calling for Sarah to be removed from the show entirely. Fans have been flooding social media with complaints about her disrespectful and rude behaviour, with some even threatening to contact Ofcom about her treatment of Dean. Many viewers have pointed out that if the roles were reversed and a man was publicly mocking his wife's appearance and personality, there would be outrage and calls for him to be kicked off the show immediately. What makes Sarah's behaviour even more unforgivable is that Dean has been nothing but kind and respectful to her throughout their entire relationship. Despite her constant rejection and cruel comments, he's continued to try to make their marriage work. He's been patient with her lack of attraction, understanding about her need for space, and even willing to work on the issues she's raised about his communication style. His response to learning about her disrespectful comments showed incredible maturity. He said he was hurt, but was still willing to try to make their marriage work. The contrast between Sarah and Dean's behaviour couldn't be more obvious. While she's been publicly humiliating him and making cruel jokes at his expense, he's been defending her and trying to see the good in their relationship. While she's been sharing private details about their marriage with strangers, he's been keeping their problems between them and working to solve them constructively. The difference in their character and maturity levels is striking. What's particularly sad about this whole situation is that it highlights a much bigger problem with how society treats people who don't fit conventional beauty standards. Dean's weight has made him a target for cruel comments his entire life, and now he's experiencing that same cruelty from the person who's supposed to be his partner and support system. Sarah's behaviour isn't just about not being attracted to someone, it's about basic human decency and treating people with respect regardless of their appearance. As we move forward in the experiment, the question isn't whether Sarah and Dean's marriage can survive. It's whether Dean's confidence and self-worth can recover from this public humiliation. Sarah's cruel comments and disrespectful behaviour have done damage that goes far beyond their relationship. She's reinforced every negative thought Dean has ever had about himself and confirmed his worst fears about being the fat kid that nobody wants. The expert's intervention was necessary and long overdue, but the damage may already be done. Sarah's behaviour has shown her true character, and it's not pretty. Dean deserves so much better than someone who would publicly mock his insecurities and treat him with such disrespect. The real tragedy is that a genuinely good man is being destroyed by someone who seems incapable of basic kindness and empathy.